overachieved. We talked about it on a thing. I just couldn't eat that much chalk on the slate, and I needed to eat all of the chalk, which is how I had originally built my lineups. Thankfully, I didn't use right at least more than I needed to, or more than I should have. I used them, 30%, which is unfortunate. But the late pivots didn't even help me enough. Not a good night for me. How about you?
Ditto.
Yeah, it was ugly.
I had a okay lineup, as you know, in one of the 3 maxes, and I had a chance to swap into something that would have gotten me almost even for the day, but I didn't do it, and it was just not good. So we got a new day, and we have a 1-pitcher slate. It's gonna be interesting. So first of all, on FanDuel, Kershaw, is it possible someone to literally be 100% owned or no?
I mean, it's not going to happen, but people are really going to reach. I mean, the funniest part is that if we had 2 even semi-viable guys.
We don't.
We don't. we could argue even of fading him on DraftKings even. Like, I don't think there's anybody viable. So
let's start with Let's start with Wilson.
Yeah.
So he would be the guy that I would. So I was trying to get some coach speak on all these guys before we started. I didn't get all of it. I heard that they're going to hopefully get Curtis to a couple of innings for Tampa. And similarly, they were saying that they hope they can get Garcia through the lineup one time, right?
Right.
Both those guys are 4,100. I mean, I don't know. And the Atlanta, I presume is the closest thing to an actual starter.
Kind of.
That God forbid if he actually gets through the lineup, they'll let him stay in.
Maybe.
Well, I'm glad that we're all confident in this one. So you know what? It's going to be hitters. It'll be a slate where you have to pick the hitters the best, I guess.
Can I propose something?
Yeah, sure.
Why is it that we're writing out Framber Valdez?
No, I think the coach said he's not available.
Not available, he said.
I believe that's the case.
The first thing I heard would possibly be available for relief, but that was enough for me to make him my priority.
I'm going to go find it because I saw it in one of my Discords. I'll get the actual quote. I thought it said that the manager said him and the other guy were unavailable.
All right, well.
Or they will not pitch or something like that.
Why? I don't understand that. What is the point of this game? I don't understand it.
Here it is. It says, it was last night. Sorry. Last night it says, Dusty Baker said last night, Framber Valdez and Lance McCullers Jr. aren't options. Aren't options to start today. Okay, fair enough. Okay.
And who was the other one he said he wasn't?
Aren't options to start today.
Who was the other one?
McCullers and
Valdez. I just don't see why you wouldn't pitch Valdez here out of the bullpen after using an opener. If they're really going to use Garcia to try and get through the lineup once, wouldn't it just be natural that they pitch Valdez?
I'm in. I think I want to do that.
I mean, look, you could get a 0 here, but you might get a 0 here. Or you might get.
Yeah, but all the pitchers are going to get zeros. Whatever.
Yeah, you might be doing is getting 0 versus a guy who gets 6, and that might be enough to kill you. But you also might be getting 18 where nobody gets him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You certainly have upside.
You have more than that even upside, actually. I just was throwing that out there. It seems like, first of all, it would be a spot in the rotation. It's a must-win game. Everybody should be available. So maybe even that could be an argument even against him a little bit, that maybe unless he's really good, they don't leave him in for too long and they use McCullers and they just really wipe out everybody in the bullpen. But they're going to need somebody to start at some point in game 6 if they do win. So I'm sort of into taking a shot on this, and I just want to say what's up to Harry and Joe, both Joes, and Kenneth Jones, Nathan in the chat. What's up, guys? It's a really tough call. I'm finding myself doing it, and it doesn't feel good. And honestly, it's hard to get I haven't got a lot of good coach speak about who might be and even that, it's very it's meaningless when a team puts up runs, or if the game is tight and you get the bases loaded. Everything changes, in the postseason. So I just feel like it's a spot where they're obviously not going to use Garcia. What would be the other alternative Houston plan to not using one of those guys? I guess it would be using just their full bullpen. But why? These guys are available.
Right.
I can't get past this. I think I might do it in my big one.
He's in my big one right now.
Yeah, and I want to see if someone else is gonna tell me differently. And what I don't understand is why these projection sheets. Maybe you've got a different one that you're looking at. I don't have a. Sorry, it's my daughter calling me. I don't have like anybody with any other projection other than Fleming, Wilson, Garcia, and Curtis. And by the way, Fleming would make some sense because of potential innings. But I think that I like the Houston bats today. So, and that's sort of where I'm sided a little bit. I'm actually surprised at the total in that game.
Well, needless to say, I mean, you could play pitchers against hitters against pitchers today.
Yes. Yeah, I don't even think you don't even think about it. It doesn't matter. You could use the guys against Kershaw, whatever. But from what I'm getting ownership-wise in sheets, I don't know what you're getting, but I'm starting to see these Tampa bats were really projected to be low-owned, and they still seem to be. The projections have been off a little bit on some of the sites I've been using. Have you found that the Tampa really hitters being that low-owned?
Well, it's interesting because the reason why my projections and everything's all over the place is because if they're doing it right, you're supposed to just keep adjusting it based on what you hear about the pitching, right?
Right.
So they're kind of all over the place. So I wouldn't rely on any projections, either ownership or otherwise, for like a while, if you want to know the truth.
I mean, yeah, unfortunately, we don't have that long.
No, I hear you. I understand that.
It's going to be tough, But yeah, I understand. And I agree that they're doing that. They're factoring that in. But if you look at the totals of these games, it's bizarre to just imagine that Tampa Bay would be unowned or low-owned, I should say, at, second highest total on the slate by a pretty good amount. Hi, William from Atlanta, Georgia. Good to have you in here. All right, Sheets. So let's that's, I think, what we're doing. So we're going to play for Amber Valdez. I think we're actually going to commit to that, at least as of right now. And then
I'm going to build something right now. Let me see what this looks like. Yeah, hold on. Let's see if we can't find.
I mean, this is going to seem boring maybe out there, guys, but this is like the most important thing on this. Like, it's really hard to justify playing any of these pitchers, period, except for Kershaw. So why wouldn't we take a shot with Valdez?
Yeah. So the only problem is, I mean, like if you're wrong, it's a lot of money.
Who cares? I don't care about I can change my lineup. You know what I mean? Enough. That's what I look at it. I mean, look, Jock Peterson put up by far the most fantasy points last night. Edwin Rios had a big night last night at 2,800. It's not like these guys couldn't do the same thing again tonight at really cheap prices. And you've got cheap Rays. Like, I mean, like just even like weirdly like middling, like Austin Meadows is 3,800. They're all actually just cheap. And then, I don't mind using Gurriel in this spot as my first baseman if I have to, because he's going to be low owned anyway. So just
you think he's going to be low owned?
I don't see people needing the money ever.
That's the thing.
Unless they're doing exactly what we're doing. And even then, you don't need to go that route.
How many Tampa guys would you play with Valdez, though?
Doesn't matter.
It just doesn't matter at all?
I don't think so. I think it's worth enough areas. I mean, I wouldn't probably play more than 4, but I would probably play 3.
But you could play 4?
I probably wouldn't. I don't think you need to. Like, I don't like Tampa I like Tampa. I like the Tampa-Houston game, but I like the Houston side of it better. Personally. Which is weird because you look at the total and it kind of makes me think that maybe people are underestimating how much ownership is going to be on Fleming.
People are going to play a lot of Fleming, you think? I
think so. I mean, he's gonna be their long relief guy. Like he should pitch more innings. Got the second highest projection on the slate. He doesn't strike anybody out, which is going to make it really tough against this Astros team.
So I have a ridiculous idea.
Okay.
You can't. I mean, you brought it up, but you brought it up beforehand. I mean, can you play? Well, you can't do this. I was going to say fade Kershaw. Can you play Garcia and Valdez together?
I don't know if you. I could never do that.
I love it.
It's so hard. I mean, look, the one thing going for you is that you do have the potential of Kershaw's back acting up or something. Like in a showdown thing, I would play both those guys, obviously, but like not. I
just mean from the same team.
No, I get it, but you're not playing Kershaw, so you're taking a guy in Garcia whose ceiling is like 8 fantasy points, and taking away a guy who's like gonna almost never get you less than like 15 here, and can get you 4.
Yeah.
I can't see how it gets to be optimal.
Okay, just.
But it is interesting. I mean, it's not something.
Just throwing it out there.
If there was, like, if Kershaw was the one pitching, and there was a guy opening for Kershaw, I would absolutely do that today. I have no problem with that. It's Garcia's. They say they want to get him one time through the lineup.
Yeah.
And Curtis has never pitched. I don't think he's ever pitched more than. Has he pitched more than 2 innings ever? I don't think he ever has. At least not this year. 2.1 once. I would be surprised if Curtis pitches more. Like 2 would be the max to me for Curtis, probably. Right, Sheets?
I think so.
Yeah. So, do with that what you will, guys. He could strike out 5 of the 6 guys he gets out, but it doesn't feel great. Not from where I'm standing, at least. Oh boy, it's a weird one. Well, let's get into some positions and let's decide if we maybe want because you do have to make some compromises if you want to try and take a shot with the Valdez thing, like I am doing. So let's talk about some positions because there's plenty of what's going to happen is every spend up, especially from the Dodgers, but every spend up is going to be more popular than any spend down, just because there's going to be tons of money to spend based on lineup construction, and that's just what people are going to do. So you're going to get Mookie Betts as probably the highest owned player on the slate, along with Corey Seager. They'll be right next to each other around 70%-ish. Max Muncy will probably be around 50 to 60. George Springer will probably be around there. Altuve, Will Smith, all probably 50% plus guys. Bregman probably right near there. So you got to try and figure out other things. One thing that I don't agree with any of the projections that I'm seeing are on, like they don't have Rios projected in the Dodger lineup tonight. It would be very strange to me a night after hitting a home run and they have a big offensive explosion why you wouldn't play them against another righty in virtually the same spot. So I'm going to guess Rios is in. If he's in, that's going to change a lot of your positions for everywhere. I know I'm mentioning third base first, which is weird to do, but I just want to point that out that that's going to be sort of your big decision thing, I think.
Let's just see. Let's go through position by position and see if by doing that we just can come up with something.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I don't see it, but let's see. So where do you want to start? So we did pitcher.
The catcher is pretty easy for me, actually.
What's that?
Catcher I find pretty easy. I like Zunino and Maldonado. I'm just not going to pay up as much for the most part.
Yeah, I think you got to play d'Arnaud, though.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I think he's going to be owned. So.
Yeah. So for me, all 3 of them, I mean, d'Arnaud, Zunino, Maldonado. Is Smith going to start?
No, but Smith should be the DH probably.
Oh, but he's playing. Okay.
No, we don't know that if he's playing.
Okay.
He only played once this whole season when this happened, and that was last game in the playoffs. So we'll guess that he does.
Yeah, I mean, I have.
Wesley just asked a question that's important about the Valdez thing.
What he said?
The max you get out of him 3 or 4 innings. The max you get out of him is 7 innings.
Yeah.
When Valdez starts, he has the longest leash of anybody in baseball. He pitched. It was 4 days ago that it was 4 days ago that he pitched. He in the same situation, except for he pitched more recently in the first playoff series that Houston had. He pitched 5 innings in relief in this spot and put up 25. It doesn't matter about the price. The price is meaningless.
What's the
Barnes always gets Kershaw. What's that? Barnes going to get Kershaw, but Will Smith will be in the game most likely. The Dodgers have been DHing him, have DH'd him in the playoffs when Kershaw started. So anyway, Chiefs, you want to keep going? Sorry.
So they're 3-1 right now.
Who?
Tampa.
Yeah. So catcher.
Well, so hold on. So what I was going to say is that so if what's his face gets through or whatever gets through is struggling to get through the first, then they'll try to just roll Valdez and then roll McCullers the next start, I guess.
So they'll try and that's what you would assume, right? Like they don't have a whole lot of other options. What they can do is they use Javier last night. I told you, you get 2 innings no matter what. He got 2 innings exactly. And I bet you, and Javier could end up starting for them in game 6 or 7 possibly, and using him for like 4 or 5 innings.
You know what I kind of want to do?
What's that?
I kind of want to lock in Valdez here.
I'm on this Valdez train. The thing that's going to bother me is I'm guessing we're going to get some updated something that clarifies it, which is going to make him chalky. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I still think people will be afraid. No?
And you know what? They should be afraid because Dusty Baker is a very bizarre old school manager. You saw it last night with Greinke. He just rode him he got into trouble and he rode him in that 6th inning against Arozarena, who hit one about a mile off of him in the previous at bat.
Oh my God, he crushed that thing.
And then he pitched to him with 1st and 2nd and 1 out, and then he pitched he gave a single to Troy, left him in with the
Greinke's such a goofball. I mean, Dusty Baker wanted to take him out. He probably wouldn't understand what he's saying anyway.
He had actually an interesting interview after the game where he said, Greinke said, it's nice to have somebody that believes in you. I've been with this franchise now for a while, and I haven't had anybody else believe in me.
That's nice.
He's a very unusual dude. I'm telling you, he's trouble.
I watched a video last night. I was gonna send it to you, but you're like I didn't want you to think I had it queued up like the Reggie Jackson one. It was a whole thing. It was the title on the YouTube was Zach Greinke, the weirdest player in baseball, and it was just like all like Zach Greinkeisms for like 6 minutes of it. It was like really funny.
It's so weird, his stuff. Like, I mean, he's just an oddball. So again, I'm just going to always go where the ownership isn't. You also get a discount, and if I'm going to play Valdez, I kind of could use it some places. You're just getting so much lower ownership. Also, I like Zunino a ton here. If you do get Valdez, like Zunino in general has always had more power against lefties, but just looking for the raw power upside. So Zunino, Maldonado over d'Arnaud and Smith for me, just because I don't want to play that much chalk at catcher.
I'm afraid to ask, but what's I wonder what Valdez is on FanDuel.
Oh, that's interesting. I think that's getting too creative.
I just want to know what its price is.
No, it's not actually. It might be actually reason. It's going to be close to Kershaw's. They're going to be similar priced. Let's see. I'm taking a look at it right now on FanDuel. I mean, that's one thing about today. It really makes you want to just play on FanDuel because you do feel good about having one pitcher. It'd be so funny to play somebody else on FanDuel.
He's not even listed.
Yeah, he won't be listed in there because they're only showing the starters initially.
But can you even do that? I mean, on FanDuel?
Yeah, on the bottom left, it says only show probable pitchers. So let me just see real quick. Valdez is
9,500.
95. Yeah, so that's a little.
It's a little steep.
I mean, the thing is though, like it turns out back spasms in the first, and they act up. You know what I mean? Back spasms are no joke. When you're pitching, if you have a pitching blister on your finger or back spasms, I never feel good about it. It's like having a basketball player who's got a hamstring injury and they're coming back from. You just don't never feel good about it.
I don't care necessarily about but I mean the Kershaw thing. I mean, if you can really get Valdez in like the 2nd inning,
there's a potential here.
He could outscore Kershaw.
I agree with you. I actually think you're onto something a little bit. Like this, I'm not playing enough lineups where that's happening today, but I mean, and the answer is like, so this is the problem. So let's keep going about this, and then we'll answer some of these questions because there's a lot of just all over the place questions that are kind of hard to answer all because we don't really have a feel. How much do we think Valdez is owned tonight? It's going to depend in the next hour and a half how much you hear about it. That's the truth. Whatever gets published out, whatever coach speak is out there, whatever people try to read into it, that will depend on it. I'm going to guess people aren't going to completely overlook him, but he will be very low owned. And at the same time, I could play a pitcher who's not going to play at all, still have a winning lineup with a 0 tonight. I really believe that. If you get different enough with your hitters, which you actually can do because everybody's going to play the same guys. Everybody. And the Dodgers are good plays. You're going to want to get pieces of them, but I'm going to stay away from most of the full game stacks just because, I mean, you're talking about, like, I don't think there's a hitter other than Barnes and Peterson that are going to be low owned. And even the thing with Peterson, like, the Braves are going to bring in lefties out of the bullpen pretty quickly. We didn't run into that as an issue yesterday because they were up 11 runs, but that's where I'd be a little bit worried about playing too much Dodger chalk today. Just it's going to be such incredible chalk, like more than we've had on any slate, even in this postseason so far. Mm-hmm. If nothing gets published Dude, I mean, there's going to be a million things written. There's going to be a million speculations by a million different touts, and that will drive some of that ownership. That's all I can answer for you. In the large field, I don't think you want to worry about it because it's not like you're picking him versus another good option. Like these guys could end up with minus points tonight. You know what I mean? Especially Fleming.
All right, so let's continue.
Let's continue by positions. Okay.
So second base.
Wait. Oh wait. We didn't do first base.
Oh, right. Sorry. So first base, I have three of them equal. Actually, I have for my favorites. I have Gurriel, Muncy, and Choi all equal. I don't like Freeman tonight. How bold of me to avoid Freeman against the only good pitcher on the slate. But I think all three of those. Can you tell me which of those three are going to be the lowest owned between Gurriel, Muncy, and Choi?
I'd be based on the way that it is. I'd be shocked if Gurriel wasn't the lowest owned.
So that's who I'll play. I mean,
I think I would be right. It doesn't make sense.
He's 2,800. I mean,
you don't need it though. Literally, unless you do exactly what we're doing, you have no need to play him. So you're just playing him straight up versus Muncy. And
yeah, Choi. You play. You can outscore Choi though. No.
Yeah, you can outscore Muncy too. I mean, anything could happen. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like him. He's my guy. He's my main guy right now because I'm going to take the ownership all day on these slates. I don't care if I have a bad day like yesterday because I tried to get away from the obvious chalk, which I loved anyway. I was the one saying Dodgers will probably score 1 million runs. I just was trying to find a path different, and that's what we're going to do today. And that's going to lead me to my favorite play at second base. This is the chalk that I'm closest to eating, but I like Altuve by far the best. But I really like Brandon Lau tonight.
I agree.
And that's where I would put most of my stuff.
I agree. I think Brandon Lau is my favorite individual second baseman.
Beautiful. Who would you? There's going to be if there was going to be no action on Taylor, and maybe they've got the ownerships wrong again on Taylor because they've sort of been off with him. He's you could throw him into he might be a way to get a little bit lower on Dodger, which basically means like 25 or 30%.
Altuve is going to be twice the ownership of Taylor.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I mean okay.
Yeah, I agree. So this is a great spot, Sheets, because this is the third base. The best play for me is Bregman, but the guy who I will roll with the most because they won't be owned will be a combination of Yandy Diaz, Joey Wendell, and Austin Riley.
You don't like Turner?
He's going to be ultra chalk at 5,100. Yeah. I do like him. I like all the Dodgers, but we're trying to. It's like as if we're playing Coors today, but a much more extreme version of it because we've got the ownership is just out of control.
Yeah,
and I don't think it's going to be quite as high as everybody has it, but it's going to be like 50+% on a lot of these guys. All right, you ready to move over to shortstop?
Yeah. Seager, I guess, right?
Seager's going to be 1,000,000% owned. No issues if you want to switch over to Correa. He's going to have some ownership too. No ownership on Adames or Swanson tonight. I would prefer Adames personally.
I agree with that. I would say that Adames I rate as I don't know. I think Adames and Correa, just price all being the same. I have equal. So is either of them going to be more owned than the other, you think?
Oh, yeah. Correa is going to be owned. Adames is going to be like I think Adames is going to be like 5% owned.
Well, I'm going to try that then, I think.
That's what I think I'm leaning towards as well. Maybe he won't. Maybe it's hard to see people paying down there, but it's possible. It's hard to not play Corey Seager right now. But and if you were going to get Correa a little lower, I think I would go for it. But I think he's going to be in the 20s ownership-wise. But that's still pretty good for the Houston side of it. I think I like the other hitters in Houston better than I like Correa. I've always liked Correa better. They have the lefty coming in, and he's good against lefties. But I've always preferred him. He's been more of a power guy, a reverse splits power guy in general. Eric is a good play and leave 1K on the table, by the way. Not a bad idea at all today.
So they're really sneaky, by the way. They keep on changing the start time. So today the Houston game's first, right?
Yeah, and then not only is sneaky. Like I had a thing that said it was 10 a.m. this morning. And I didn't know when we were going to be recording. It's really hard to keep up with when you don't know who's going to be playing the next day. But hopefully we'll get that information after the first game today if it doesn't extend. I hope it extends, Sheets. I want to get one more 2-game slate in. I want one where I can actually have like a pitcher and a half I don't feel bad about. Maybe, and we're going to come back to pitching in a second, but let's finish these positions real quick with the outfield. 'Cause that's really where you're going to see condensed chalk on the outfield on these slates is weird because there's so much of the production we've seen these guys, lately. Obviously, Bellinger, Acuna, Rosarena, Brantley has had a good few games. Meadows in general, I love here. There's a lot of good plays out here. So when I see an insane chalk on the best plays like Springer and Betts, which I believe they are the best plays, I'm immediately going to go down and play Bellinger at lower ownership than Betts, which I'm a little nervous about in one sense. He's fine against lefties, don't get me wrong, but I'm a little nervous that Atlanta is just going to throw all the lefties out of the bullpen right away, which would make me feel weird to have like a Dodger stack with only lefties, and that's sort of where I'm at right now. But I'm okay with it. I'm only have like three and 4 man Dodger stacks because I'm trying to be different. But Bellinger, Acuna, Rosarena, all very good plays. But I prefer jumping down and playing Meadows and Brantley at low ownership and potentially Jock Peterson. You just don't need the money, or Kyle Tucker, any of these guys. The outcome is going to be so similar so much of the time that taking 5-to-1 ownership gap and a lower price, you're also getting different in more ways if you leave money on the table in those lineups where you play Meadows and you don't pay up for up to Ozuna or something like that. Just no one's going to do these kind of things.
Yeah, slate's ridiculous. All right, moving on.
We've got asked about Pache. Again, if you really can get him at 0 ownership tonight because there's nobody who has any reason to play him.
Kid's the nuts.
He's hit 1 home run.
Excuse me, he hit 1 home run. Didn't he not hit also have a double? And
yeah,
he's doing fine. For a 9-hitter, 2,000 or something?
Yeah, but my point is that what are you doing with the 2,000? So I'm saying if you play Pache, you're playing him over Brantley and Peterson.
Yeah, well,
you're playing him over Austin Meadows and Marcell Ozuna and Rosarena because you don't need this money. This money
remember, dude, it's one game.
Mookie Betts, though, being 9K would be no different than 5.6 today, though. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's what. So you're not. That's my point. Is Pache? Do you think he's better? That's what you're willing to give up if you're just willing to, because you're leaving money on the table.
No. Okay, so let's do something different. All right. So how much is Pache?
2,000.
He's 2,000. So let's say that you have a lineup that looks relatively normal, but instead of playing Acuna, for example, right? You play Pache, and you leave. What do you save? $3,000 or something?
Yeah, but if I'm doing that, why wouldn't I just do that with Jock Peterson or Michael Brantley or Austin Meadows?
Well, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to suggest it to you this way, right? Yeah. And you put Pache, because he's on the same team as Atlanta, for example. So if you put Pache on and you save $3,000, you leave the table, you leave it as is, okay, and you put it in that way. So first of all, no one's going to have that lineup.
That's true.
And so you're getting whatever odds on Pache over all those guys I just mentioned in one baseball game. You know what I mean? I don't know. For a 2-game slate, I would
the same exact thing with Kyle Tucker, the same situation. If you play
but Kyle Tucker's going to be he's going to be higher owned, isn't he?
It doesn't matter if you're leaving that money on the table. And he's going to be only 10% owned. So 10% versus 2% doesn't matter that much.
I guess.
And I would rather take the guy who's more likely to have the production personally than the number 9 hitter against the only good pitcher on the slate. But again, it absolutely could make some sense. If we had 2 good pitchers, I would be considering using him. I actually don't like him better than Reddick. I like Reddick better anyway, who's also going to be basically the same low own. So I would just go that route personally. Actually, we do have an Atlanta lineup. I think it just came out. So let's take a quick look at that and see if that changes.
Anything abnormal? Got Pache leading off or something?
I don't know what they're going to do, but their lineups have been abnormal so far in the postseason. No, he's batting 9th. Same thing, I think. Same lineup. Acuna, Freeman, Ozuna, Darno, Albies, Swanson, Riley.
You know, the other thing you could do, you want to do another Galaxy brain play. You could play the back spasms angle and play Dustin May.
Dustin May is not going to pitch today.
No?
I think he's supposed to start the next game, isn't he?
I know that. Okay, so.
Well, they don't. It's not. Why would they? Then why would they use?
Well, I guess they wouldn't do it that way. Okay.
Only if it was an elimination game where that happened.
Okay.
Look, I'm not saying that it's impossible because I've seen weird stuff like that happen and it makes no sense when it does. And Dave Roberts is usually the guy who does it, so I shouldn't say that because Dave Roberts is an idiot. What he did with Urias last night was absolutely, as in terms of this is a series, it's a 4 out of 7, and you're going to let this guy throw 100+ pitches, which for no reason, just to basically eliminate him for the next 4 games. That's really annoying to me. Sorry. All right. So going back to pitcher, the one thing is maybe we just suck it up and maybe you do play Wilson and you continue to play the Dodgers too. But like maybe Bryce Wilson can get through a few innings.
I'm back to the point. I like Wilson more than any of the other listed starters, obviously besides Kershaw.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. The interesting thing is that Fleming, though, is basically in a better situation than Wilson at the same ownership, at a higher projection, and against a team with a significantly lower total and a more decisive role. So shouldn't Fleming be actually like a little bit safer?
He's actually
if you're playing cash today, I would love it. I mean, people are going to play Garcia, I guess, as their SP2. They want to get one inning out of him. That's what they said. I don't know for sure. I mean, there's a chance he could go longer, by the way. There's a chance, Sheets, that Garcia could go longer. We've seen that.
Another possible hoodoo plays. So another guy who might be able to screw up the Valdez thing might be Josh James.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see, James, what he's throwing. When did he last pitch for them in the series? I was going through this stuff earlier on my own, but
I saw him recently, Josh James.
Yeah, nothing. I know that's what worries me is that what would he pitch? He pitched two innings against so that was the day before yesterday. He pitched 2 innings. Yeah, you might see 2 innings out of him. But even if you go, what's his name, 2 and then him 2, that still leaves 5, which is exactly the situation where they let Valdez come in before. Maybe not though. Maybe they let this Curtis go a little bit longer. I'm sorry, this Garcia go a little bit longer. Like he's pitched longer at different times this season.
I'll tell you something else, man. On a 2-game slate, I mean, if you're in there in the 5th inning, you're like in business.
Oh my God.
If you can get win equity somehow.
If you told me right now that there was any chance that either of these guys would pitch past, like there was a good chance that they would pitch into the 4th, or anybody would.
I don't even mind pitching into the 4th. I just mean that someone will be literally in the game in the 5th so they can get the win.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Or anytime. Yeah, exactly. Or anytime after.
If I knew somebody was coming in the 5th for 2 innings, that you know what I mean?
But we don't. That's like the weirdest thing to project because these guys aren't going to pitch until that point.
Right.
So then you don't know how they're going to shake out the bullpen, which generally what you would do is go to your long relief guys. Which Valdez is not a long relief guy, but he's their other starter. Like, why would they save him? If anybody out there can find anything about Valdez, this is what I'm trying to figure out. We need to figure out basically if there's any word out there that he's starting Game 6, and that's the part that I haven't heard on. I don't see why they wouldn't have started him today or use him in long relief and then start McCullers Game 6, but I don't know. We'll see. It's a must-win, so I'm going to go with it. I'm banking on Valdez. That's what I've decided. I understand that the optimal probably would be Garcia if you're playing cash games, actually, or Fleming, in my opinion, but I'm going with Valdez.
Let me just see if there's any other info here. Dusty enough to no Valdez. If Valdez starts, Valdez is dirty. Valdez, I'm just looking for anything. Yeah,
I'm going to keep looking. I mean, this is going to be another one. I'll do another check in an hour. I'm actually going to set my alarm for that right now so I don't forget. Because I don't want to miss an obvious thing. And obviously, you're paying a lot for him. But the point is that his upside is just higher than everybody else's who's going to pitch, except for Kershaw's. Actually, it's pretty close to Kershaw's. Yeah. I think that I'm gonna take this shot here, man. Doesn't feel great. But if you treat it like you don't need the money, and the truth is, like, no matter what, not only does Valdez get me different, like, because of him, my having to save money actually gets me different. You know what I mean? And that's
Billy Horschel just made a birdie, so I'm kind of feeling that I can spend some Valdez money, I think.
Oh, we didn't even talk about golf this week. Jeez, man.
Yeah, excuse me. I came in at the end of the thing yesterday and gave my pick.
That's true. That's fair enough.
Was one of them. That's why I'm bringing it up. I'm on top of this.
That's fair enough. One other take. Again, I'm not gonna go crazy like on the over in the Dodger game today, as I don't like it as much as I have lately. But I do think that you got an interesting I like the Astros to win this game against Tampa here, and that would be my strong take. I also think that the Astros are. I think both teams in that game are more likely that there's going to be more runs in that game than there are going to be in the Dodger game.
I like the Braves today.
Thanks, Cheats.
Hey, I tell you,
Mr. Contrarian all of a sudden when the Dodgers are involved. He roots for the Astros. He roots against the Dodgers. He's even talking. He was rooting against the Yankees, and they're not rooting against the Yankees. They're playing the against anti-Yankee angle in the last year.
I'm not saying what I'm rooting for. I'm just saying what I like. You know what I mean? I don't know.
All right. Well, I hope you're wrong on that.
I hope I'm wrong too. You know,
geez, brutal. This would be a tough loss for the Dodgers. Boy, that was something new yesterday, huh? Like, I don't remember ever being a part of. I know I've seen it before. I think I once saw a team score like 12 runs in an inning because I remembered it was double digits, something. But I've never seen a team start like that before in my life.
I'll tell you what's going to be really annoying, by the way.
What's that?
If God forbid, it's a 7-game series, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's only 2-1. Like, so they lose, it's not over. But I'll tell you this: like, if I would feel really bad if Kershaw had a bad game.
I mean, look, he's got his – it's tough, and it's also a tough match. And Eric Johnson just asked a question on this. Are people going to be on the Braves against Kershaw? Yes. People are playing the Braves just behind the Astros and Dodgers. They'll be – the lowest owned somehow is projected to be Tampa, and the Braves will be lower than they normally would be against other pitchers, but you're not getting single-digit ownership until you get to the bottom of the lineup. So that's probably where you'd want to try and take a shot, maybe on a Swanson or a Camargo clicks with one, or Austin Riley. That's what I would look at.
How did
Atlanta's got 31 pitchers in the bullpen. I think something like that, Nathan. Just so you know. So they have plenty in the bullpen. There's nothing left in the bullpen for Atlanta.
How did Kershaw do? And this is an interesting question.
Leslie, be careful. 40% sounds like a lot of Valdez, but I understand it. But Houston Dodgers are going to be the chalky hitters. But if you're going to play Valdez, you can do that. Go ahead, Sheets. Sorry.
How did Kershaw do because I know he got scratched for back spasms at least once this season.
Yeah.
How did he do? I mean, did they roll him back the next day?
No. He likes to stay on his routine. I think they gave him. I can't remember exactly what happened.
They gave him a full start off.
They would always give him a break off during the season. Usually, if that happened, because he in general also likes to stick on the same pretty narrow routine. But yeah, I mean, playing the Braves against some of the Braves bats, I absolutely think there's a good chance 1 or 2 home runs could happen. I do want to say the Valdez thing. I don't want people adding me because I'm going to tell you right now, you're getting a good chance of a 0. So don't at me when you told me to play Valdez. I'm not saying.
I'll tell you what I'll do.
I'm playing Valdez.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll tell you guys what I'll do. If you guys play Valdez and you want to get mad, you could at me. I mean, I'll ignore it, whatever. But you want to get mad, I will tell you to play Valdez, and and if it loses, then you can blame me because I know Bobby doesn't like to get blamed for stuff. So
I just want to be clear that it's not like I'm saying this is some lock type of play. I'm just saying that I don't have other options, and I'm going to go take an angle.
The fact is, the people that have been maybe that's right for first timers on here. People that have been doing this like a while with you, they know what time is. They know that it's not like a lock. They know that you don't believe in locks in any sport, much less baseball, much less a guy who has no indication at all that he's going to play. And that's the whole thing about what we're trying to do with these things. Just be transparent. Tell everyone what we're doing.
Yep.
And if someone really wants to, hey, should I play Valdez? If you really wanted the correct answer, I would say, okay, let's see what the rest of your lineups look like. You know what I mean? Let's see what your risk tolerance is. Let's see whatever. And the fact that I don't know that makes it impossible for me anybody to recommend anybody who they should play.
Right.
But I will say this, all right? Of all these pitchers that we've mentioned, between Fleming and Garcia and whoever else, the only person we've mentioned that I think has a possibility of getting 20 fantasy points in any variation is Valdez.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not going to get it. You know what I mean? And the thing of it is that there's going to be plenty of zeros, and I think there's going to be a 20 or so in that mix. And the thing is that if you do play Valdez and you get a 0, then okay, then your hitter is going to have to just kind of perform. So wait, so once again, the
Valdez was really good in game 1 of this series against this team, by the way. Like, he was really good.
So wait, is the Valdez the first game again?
Yeah.
Well, and then like it also affords you the ability
chalk it up
to know exactly what's going on by the time you have to make decisions in that later game. So what you might want to do really is play Valdez and then very, very little exposure from that first game in general, and just kind of just throw in dudes in the last game, and then just see how Valdez kind of plays, and if you need it, if he does poorly, then just load up on Atlanta guys. If he does well, then you load up on Dodger guys.
Yeah, I'm good with all of that. My only issue is that I do think that this first game is in a better spot to score more runs than the second game is. I really do.
Okay.
I like both sides of this first game to score some runs. And the thing is, Valdez, you can still play with the other side. I'm only playing in most of my Valdez, I think I have 1 or 2 Rays in there.
Okay.
But I'm going extremely. I'm actually I'm so. Eric, I can't answer that question and tell you which one to play. Okay, so he's playing winner take all 4-man. Should use Valdez in that one. I wouldn't. No, I would not use him in that situation. But should you do it? I mean, I don't see any reason in a 4-man to get that creative sheets, but that's just me. What do you think?
I mean,
just too much of a zero. Too much of a chance for a zero. Wouldn't you just rather take a few points?
Probably.
Like, nobody else is going to play him. Don't play him in a 4-man. Regardless of how it turns out. If it turns out great, hey, great, you did well elsewhere. But
I mean, you want to know who you should really play? I mean, if you're going to do that, I mean, like if I were playing cash,
Sorry, Sheets.
If I were playing cash, I'd probably play maybe Wilson. I don't know.
I kind of hear you on the idea for Wilson, but you don't know if he's going to be in there for just an inning either. So he sort of fits the other guy's category, and why wouldn't you just pay down for Garcia? I mean, Garcia is I think the best if you're going to play cash kind of option. And by the way, Nathan is 100% accurate. It could be McCullers, not Valdez. There's absolutely no logic or rhyme or reason why that would be the case, because you have a righty starter, so you already get the Tampa Bay lefties in there early. You bring in a lefty, that makes more sense. The whole thing sets up for Valdez. Also, McCullers pitched more recently than Valdez did, so there's a lot of reason why you should assume that it should be Valdez over McCullers, unless we get an official word on something that we haven't gotten. Because I'm explaining the most. Sheets, am I missing anything? Like, it seems so obvious to me that he has to pitch here over McCullers, but I just don't trust Dusty Baker, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, even the lineup sets up perfectly for him. He had 8 strikeouts in 6 innings in the last. He's gonna. Unless I hear something, I'm gonna assume that we might see from him around the 4th inning or 5th inning. And I'll take 3 or 4 innings even. The funny part is, like, if I can because he can get like 5 or 6 strikeouts in that time.
Right.
Yeah, that could happen. The other guys can get 3 innings possibly too. Maybe that Wilson could. But don't play. The only thing with Wilson is people are going to be like, oh, the Braves staff is beat up now. They didn't use any pitchers last night that are of any importance for them. They can use Josh Tomlin to come in. Actually, that's actually not such a bad idea. This might be my last thing before we get out of here. If they gave Josh Tomlin a few innings, would they ever do that? They might.
Who?
The Braves, Josh Tomlin. Like, he started games this year. He started games his whole career. He's pitched forever. He's not a good pitcher, but he's a ground ball guy, and he's pitched in the series already. But yeah, he's too expensive anyway. Forget it. What you just said, wait, Kevin, that's a good point, bro. But like, he just did this basically with, well, I guess with Greinke's older, so that's a little different. But he just brought these guys in the same exact situation. You're not ruining an arm if you're pitching in the postseason in a must-win game. Like, this would be a spot where that is a spot where you should use these guys, and he's not overusing them. You're talking about using them for 5 innings even. I don't think they should be that careful and have to worry about this, either of those guys. And by the way, I'm not even on board that McCullers even very good anyway, so I don't think that you're really needing to save that arm. I don't think he's good enough to, personally. But I do think it's a good point what he did with the Cubs arms and him being worried about doing it again. But we've seen him just oddly always stick with starting pitchers longer than you think. And then we've also seen him, when he brings in a relief pitcher, he won't go to the ultimate bullpen. He's had Javier pitch 4 innings and close a game. He's had Valdez pitch 5 innings and close a game. it's a long shot to win. I get it, man. Look, I'm not saying this is optimal. Kevin, let me ask you this, man. Who are you playing? This is your boy, man. Sheets.
Who?
Below above.
Below above is here?
Yeah. Who are you playing? Who? I'm asking who he's playing.
I didn't even know that you were here, dude. Oh man, great to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you, man. But
what's going on? What's going on with the Bears, man? Freaking 4-1 with the Bears. That's freaking crazy, man.
He said he just enjoys hearing you talk. Okay, well, Sheets then can talk. You don't have any pitchers, so you're not playing today. I take it. Look, I'm not saying it's optimal. I get your logic behind this completely. You go Valdez, McCullers, 6 and 7 if you get there. But how are you? I still think as an old school manager, you're still going to try and find a way to get there. And why wouldn't he use Valdez in this spot, and then you could piece together a game? I mean, you sort of have to figure it out the next day in baseball anyway in these spots, in my opinion. Sheets, what do you mean about the Bears? You just think that they're good, huh?
I mean, the reality, Kevin. I mean, like, and you know the answer to this. I mean, I shouldn't say this in public out here. The reality is it's really nobody's business to play this slate. But I mean that's the honest to God truth.
Look, we've got a couple more days of baseball, man. I got no choice. What else I got to look at?
Exactly. I mean, so let's call it what it is. I mean, we're not playing this slate because I have any particular edge in the slate. We're giving advice because people want to know what we think we want to do. And I'll tell you what I'm doing. I mean, honestly, I'm going to do it. I'm going to play the Valdez. I'm going to, and then just kind of not even be mad and just look. I've been running hot overall. And I'm willing to take a little bit of a gamble. Honestly, I just saw that Billy Horschel made a birdie, so I'm feeling a little bit more saucy than normal. So I'm gonna play it. And yeah, if it was like a normal sports situation where baseball is a 2-game slate in the middle of an NFL day, in the middle of a big 12-game NBA slate, and all this stuff going on, and whatever, probably wouldn't play the slate. I might not even think to play Valdez. But since we're playing, we know we're playing. We're accepting that in general. And I'm gonna gamble it. I mean, I just am.
Yeah, and I hear what Kevin's saying. I'm always on this. Oh, fade Dave Montgomery. That's actually that's an interesting take because I have some thoughts on that one as well. But I thought that was I think that's an interesting take because I think that he's going to be obviously pretty popular and obviously stands out as like the best value running back on the slate. But real quick, back to baseball. I just want to say one thing about this slate. Hope the Dodgers lineup doesn't come out because what's going to happen is it'll make the Rios so much less owned because people will play Bregman and Rios, and they won't leave that 2,800 for Rios. But I love the idea of playing Rios at what could be weirdly lower ownership when he was absolute chalk in the same exact spot yesterday. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like. Yeah, we should have done a football too. We'll do it tomorrow. I got some thoughts on this because I'd rather not play any of those guys. I don't want to play the Mike Davis or the David Montgomery.
I don't mind. You're gonna play Jonathan Taylor?
I'd rather play James Robinson.
And James Robinson, of course. James Robinson and Jonathan Taylor are two guys I like. The problem is this is the T.Y. Hilton breakout week, and I don't want to play Taylor with too much T.Y. I'm telling you, T.Y. Hilton is going to finally give us what we needed from him. All right, that's what the Nationals did last year. Just brought Scherzer out of the bullpen during the postseason. Let's roll with Valdez. But it could go either way, guys. And so I liked his point about how they could piece together. But usually in the postseason, it's get through today, figure it out tomorrow. And that's the old school way of thinking, and that's the way that Dusty tends to think. But it's obviously not a full-on thing. I'm putting 75% of my money up on the day on it. Well, not really 75. That's only 43% of my lineup. No, it's 75% of my money, though. Yeah, 75% of my money. But I'm going to take that shot. All right, Cheats, anything else before we get out of here? Anything else from below above in there he wants to drop?
No, this sucks, man, because I really do have to go in like 5-10 minutes. Otherwise, I would keep Kevin here for like freaking 2 hours. I miss Kevin. I want to talk to Kevin about this crap all the time. I mean, because as apparently like my cell like blocks him by some reason. Like he says he tries to text me and it doesn't come through or something. So I miss getting the Kevin the below above banter. Wish he'd come here all the time.
Yeah, he says Rios won't play. Look, here's the thing with Rios, Kevin. It is fun to have you. He obviously a smart guy, got interesting takes on all this stuff. But okay, so first of all,
no, he's a dumbass. I wouldn't say he's a smart guy.
why are we saying Rios won't play?
I'm happy to
categorically. No, Smith will likely. This is what's going to happen. Very, very likely. But by the way, he played third base last night, Rios. He wasn't DHing. He was actually playing third base defensively. So just keep in mind, so he can do that. But you're right. It's going to he probably won't. But even if you don't, you just make a 2v2 swap then, which is really easy because you can use the Pache in the outfield. That's what you save the Pache thing for, or a 3v3 swap that includes Pache. So just leave a couple outfield spots with Rios. I agree. You're most likely right. But if it happens to go the other way, you're going to get no ownership on a guy who was 80% owned and hit a home run yesterday in the same spot at 2,800. That's the only thing I'm saying. I totally agree with all of what you're saying logically. And Pollock doesn't need to play, by the way. I would imagine Jock would probably play after hitting what he did last night. I don't know. Anyway, I'm saying you have plenty of pivots you can make even if Rios doesn't play later in the day. And you're going to know how you're doing already because Valdez is pitching or not. That's what's going to happen. Sorry, Sheets. Take over. Take over for your last few minutes with below above in there.
No, that's pretty much it. I'm hoping that that somehow I remember to withdraw all my entries, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to play what I said. And my bit of advice again is take advantage of the spaced out the games a little bit, and that again I naturally I do get lazy, but I've been a little less lazy in the last couple of weeks about this. And then if you find as though you take your shots in the first game and it's not going your way, just go for it in the second game. Leave money on the table. Take guys that stink. You know what I mean? Because you're just going to be you're just going to be suffering. And I'll tell you something else. And I don't know. This should have been probably for earlier, but I was looking at my lineups last night, and every once in a while when I get too chalky, you kind of see like how bad it is when you're too chalky, because I was trying to figure out ways that a pretty good lineup of mine could get there. And then I was like kind of looking and seeing who everybody else had. And I found there was like no path to victory. You know what I mean? Like I found as though there was just no way for me to win unless I had the complete nuts, which is almost impossible. And if I had just had the like one other or two other like low-owned guys that could kind of move up the ladder, you know what I mean? If they did something, it would just made things just so much easier. So I guess that was pretty much all I had to say.
Yeah,
so you have again the opportunity to get lower owned, especially if crap's not going your way in the first game. Take the opportunity to do it.
So I'm going to throw one other thing out there that I think is really important because Kevin did point out a really important thing about why he wouldn't play. They would DH Will Smith, like I sort of was saying that they would do earlier. I'm not so sure that they have to. Why would they do that? If you're the Dodgers, I actually wouldn't do that. I would DH Rios. I would have Will Smith ready to hit off of anybody. You're not getting anything from him, just being in the lineup. He's not like that much better of a hitter. Rios had more power this year than he had. Actually, Rios had more power over the last 2 years than Will Smith has had. He had a home run last night. Like I don't see why you would have to start Will Smith as a DH over Rios. I understand you could say you could argue that it keeps the lefty righty, but you've got all those guys available. You've got a bullpen game anyway, so you're going to need to match up later in those spots. Personally, I would start Rios and then bring Will Smith in whenever I needed him later in the game, and that might even be 2 catch for Peterson. So
that's what you could do, by the way.
Smarter.
Like if you're getting crushed in the first game, you can play Will Smith.
No. Will Smith's going to be popular though.
Oh,
he's going to be the most popular player, and that's what I'm saying is if we don't have a Dodger lineup, which we probably will, but if we don't by lock, then you've got an edge by assuming that maybe Will Smith doesn't even start today, because that's possible. It's not on the table. It happened last time, but it doesn't need to roll that way. Why would you like as much as possible? I don't know. I just would want to roll with the guys who are hot, who have the platoon advantage, and then save my other platoon advantages for later. That's the way it should be. Anyway, but either way with the Dodgers, you're probably a lot of them. There's definitely pinch hit risk unless they blow it open like they did yesterday, and even then there's just removing players for safety risk. All right, Cheats. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Nah, we're good.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Really fun show. Kevin, thanks for stopping by, man. It's good to read from you or hear from you, whatever that is. And to everyone else who is active in chat or asking any questions, please feel free to hit me up on Twitter and ask them publicly, please, because I don't want to do the DM thing, but I'm happy to try and answer as best I can. This is a really messed up slate, and you should not be expecting to win today. But so get weird with it. That's what would be my.
You want to know why you shouldn't be expecting to win today?
Why?
Because there can only be one winner.
It's going to be okay. I'll take my my Valdez against your Valdez any day, Sheets.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Hey, good luck to everyone out there. We'll see you soon.